today we're going to be talking about Kendall Jenner's new tequila brand, 818 Tequila. So since she announced her new brand, she's gotten a little bit of controversy from it. And I think, I'm a Kardashian fan, but I do criticize them when it's valid. And I think it's valid that she's getting criticized for this. Um, okay, so let's start with, I think, one of the things most people are most bothered by, which is the name. So it's named 818 Tequila. I am confused and was confused when she announced it and announced the name. I knew that the Kardashians were like one of them was coming out with a tequila brand. I assumed it was Kylie because she's more of like vocal about loving tequila and like drinking compared to Kendall. But I knew it was like either Kendall or Kylie. They had kind of been posting teasers of it because in their old like Instagram pictures, if they ever went to Mexico, they'd like hide like a bottle of like 818 tequila in the back. So when they announced it, I was like, why 818 tequila? Like, why the name 818? And I know why. It's because 818 is the area code for the San Fernando Valley, which is where she grew up in. Calabasas is technically considered the valley, even though it's kind of on the outside. I just think it's ironic. I mean, people think it's cultural appropriation for several reasons. One, because she's a white person making tequila, but also because it's called 818 tequila, and 818, the area is very lower middle income, like a lot of minorities. I would say 80% of the people who live in the San Fernando Valley or within the 818 area code are minorities. They're Latinos, African Americans, Filipinos, or people from Asian communities. And it's just kind of like frustrating because no one can really claim the area code is theirs. It literally belongs to anyone and everyone who lives in the area. But it's very frustrating as someone who lives in the 818. It's frustrating to see like a white person claiming and profiting off an area that I feel like is a minority. Just to see someone profiting and making a brand from this area code is kind of frustrating. I mean, anyone from the valley could come up with this 818 brand, right? And they have a right to do it in a way too, I guess, because they're from here. But I don't know, it just really rubs me the wrong way, and it's been rubbing a lot of people the wrong way because it just kind of feels like, have you even been to a lot of the neighborhoods in the 818? Do you really know how difficult it is for some of the families that live within the community, you know?
Totally. I no, I totally agree with you, and I think too it's like she's culturally appropriating by having a tequila brand, and then she's culturally appropriating by using the 818. And then what was her connection to connecting like the 818 brand name to tequila? Like why did she decide? I get she's from there, but
Yeah,
what made her decide exactly to name it that?
that's another thing where I was confused because I was like, why? Like, that has nothing to do with tequila.
Yeah.
And that brings us up to our next point, which is obviously another part that is cultural appropriate culture. I can't even speak today. I'm so heated about this. Um, another thing that is culture appropriation is that she's a white person making tequila. Now, I will say she is not the first white person to to come out with a tequila brand, nor will she be the last. I mean, George Clooney has Casamigos tequila, which I love, and also has a better name, where it has a better association to the origin of tequila. Nick Jonas has his own tequila brand. The list goes like on and on. But she's coming out with this brand that's tequila. Tequila is a Mexican kind of alcoholic beverage, and so by her making her own brand and literally making all this money off something that didn't come from her culture, you are appropriating it. I think it was a little silly of her and her family to not think. Maybe they did think and didn't care, or maybe they really didn't think there was gonna be an issue with her coming out with a tequila brand because George Clooney has a very successful tequila brand, and from what I recall, he never really got criticized for it. So maybe they assumed like, "Oh, yeah, no one's gonna really mind that much," but I feel like it's silly that if they did think that way, and I feel like if you're literally profiting off a culture, you should be giving back and educating people about that culture at the very least, because I think it's unrealistic to say only Mexicans can make tequila, only Russians can make vodka, because I think vodka comes from Russia, right? if I'm wrong, I apologize. But it's kind of silly to say, like
I don't know anything about alcohol.
it's like silly to say, like, you can only make tequila if you're Mexican, because I just don't think the whole world is going to adhere to that, unfortunately, like, people aren't going to listen to that standard, right? Unfortunately. But I do think if you're going to come up with something that's taken from another culture, give 10, 15, 20% of your profit back to Mexico, to the community where they're making your tequila. Educate people about important issues going on in Mexico. Start a nonprofit named 818 Tequila. Or because you're literally taking stuff from the 818 and you're labeling your brand this, maybe give 10% of the profit to the town where you're making the tequila in Mexico, give another 10% to minority or lower income areas or charities in the 818. So that way you're like giving back, and you're giving back to the places that you're taking from and profiting. Does that make sense?
Totally, 1,000%. And I think you touched on like the two, I mean, it's such a problem, all of it, but two of the biggest things and the biggest takeaways that people should be seeing is that one, this is a family that has profited off of cultural appropriation many, many, many times. And this is just like an added layer on top of that. And two, it's like they already have money. Why? It's not like she's making this business because she like needs money. Like she's doing it because it's another thing for them to do and put on their whatever resume or anything. So it's like, yeah, why she doesn't need the money, donate it, do something with it, educate, like be, I don't know, useful in the space rather than just like making it about yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think I'm not mad at another person coming out with the tequila brand that's, in general, like, I'm not mad at that, like, I fucking love tequila, the more tequila, the better, yeah, bring it all out, but I feel like you just need to be a little bit more sensitive and really think about everything before you release it, and really think, like, "What good can I also do because I am a white person doing this?" Also, though, I do think it's important to call out that people have really called out Kendall, which I think is warranted for her culture. I can't say that word today. Cultural appropriation. People have really been calling her out for it. But I think it's important that if we call out Kendall, we need to hold every person accountable who is not Mexican and has released a tequila brand, because it shouldn't just all fall on Kendall because she's a Kardashian and people criticize anything the Kardashians do. That's my last little thing
Totally.
about that.
No, I totally agree with you.